good mood, blood in circulation, one step at a time.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and we are back and better than ever. You are joining us. We are here for the monthly Fabric Product Group update. And of course, I am Mr. Bradley Shatt from the Microsoft Product Group, from the FabricCat team. Also from the FabricCat team, Mr. Alex Powers. He has the power, everyone. And then, of course, you know who it is. The man who gives Chuck Norris daydreams and nightmares at the same time. It's an aspirational goal. It's the one, the only, Mr. Niraj Jafari. Thank you for joining us. This is your first time finding your way over to Tales from the Field. Give us a like and give us a subscribe. We drop content on Mondays, Wednesdays, and also on the first Tuesday of every month, we're going to have a live stream with the Fabric PG. And this is us, and we're going to be looking at the year in review. What our favorite things were, and also the things we are looking forward to that are coming in this quarter, because there are some big things coming for Fabric. And also your questions. If you have a question, we would love to hear from you. Fire off in the comments. This is your chance to be able to ask the product group your questions. And I mean, if you got trouble, who better to help you than these gentlemen who are constantly working in the trenches with our customers, the biggest, the baddest, and the best to make everything happen. All right. Well, with that introduction, happy 2025, gentlemen. Happy New Year, everybody. Real quick, let's go around the top. And instead of just talking about Fabric right out of the gate, I want to hear from you. Any New Year's resolutions? Any fun thing that you did with your family during the Christmas holiday? And Brad, by nature of me seeing you right next to me on the screen, I'm going to start with you.
Oh man. Well, I think we took some time off during the holidays. I don't often take 2 weeks off in a row, so that was nice. I find that if I take 1 week off, you get to the end of the week and it's like, all right, well, now I've got to go right back to work. Doesn't really feel like you got time off. But then you take 2 weeks off and you're finally like, all right, I can relax. I don't have to worry about work, especially over the holidays. Things for our team anyway tend to be a little bit quieter, so that was nice. But then the boys got sick and me and the wife got sick for a couple of days. But it was nice just being able to sit at home and not do anything for 2 weeks. Just did a couple of day trips around town, so it was nice. Definitely worth taking the time off, going away, recharging. And usually when I go on vacation, I'm still checking my Teams and Outlook and stuff on my phone. I made my promise this time. I was not going to check it a single time, and I did not. And that was life-changing, man. I don't know if you guys...
Oh, yeah. No,
when you go on vacation, do you actually go on vacation, or do you still check in?
Yeah.
Because I usually check in.
I pretend the world doesn't matter. Yeah, if it's not important enough for you to call me on my cell phone and go, hey, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I need your attention on this, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I just want to ask a clarifying question. You're telling me that Microsoft was able to operate without Brad Shatt for 2 weeks?
It defies logic.
Don't tell Wall Street. But they didn't know that I was gone. Otherwise, it would have been
I was going to say both Brads were gone. They were Bradless over the holidays, but the world kept spinning.
Brad Smith was around.
He's
fairly important, I think, right?
Yeah, he is. I mean, but I'm sure they had him. They could reach him if they needed it.
Probably. He probably checks his email.
He's the top Brad, though. I mean, let's face it. Yeah. We got some good comments coming in. Here we go. 2025. Good morning, Mr. Stephen Willier, and Happy New Year to you. Thank you for joining us. DataBard pass along open live questions. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. So many things. But if you want to sound off in the comments, we'd love to hear what you did on break. Did you do anything fun? Anything in particular that you enjoyed doing? Stephen throws in hashtag Bradless. I don't think we want that to trend. That's a surefire way for the world to melt down in one afternoon.
Yes, yes, it is.
Alex, how about you? How was your winter vacation? Any New Year's resolutions? Anything like that?
Oh, there's a lot here to unpack. Oh my goodness. So first, I threw a kind of surprise party for the wife for her birthday. She's a Christmas baby, December 23rd. So she told me about the plights of being young and not having people come to your parties because they were out traveling for holidays. I was like, okay, we got to do it big. So I got all of that off my my chest and shoulders for the months and months of planning. So that was amazing. After that, I basically said, I'm not doing anything. So I enjoyed watching Mizzou Tigers beat the Iowa Hawkeyes in a nice college bowl game. So that was fun. Texting with the family back and forth. And then after that, I'll be honest, Bradley, I did America's favorite pastime, and that was arguing with people online. So I was just all over Reddit arguing with everyone. And I came back refreshed, ready to go. Of course, I love being here, part of this group. I swear, though, if I see Fabric is not enterprise ready because it doesn't have Git support for folders, I will lose my mind. So that is my number one item as we move forward. Make folders get supported.
I'm scratching that off my list right now. I'm not gonna bring that up with Alex at all. Dan said Alex is dressed for the day after tomorrow. He truly is. He was telling us it is 8 degrees up there, right? Go Cubs, go!
Oh no,
man, Alex. Just when I think I can't love you anymore, you raise the bar, man. You raise the bar, and I do. I just, you always find a way.
Also, Dan with the obscure movie reference. That movie made like no money and was not all that great. It's a good, like, just casual watch if you want a mediocre movie. But man,
speaking of which, if you want a mediocre movie, that's where. So one of the things I was talking with some friends about, I was talking about creating a channel specifically where we would live stream us watching a movie. I don't know that it would be that popular, but I was telling them there's tons of terrible, awful movies they keep coming out with that we could do a live mystery science theater version of. And the first question was, like what? And I went, Gods of Egypt, Moonfall, Madam Web, Venom: The Last Dance. I mean, some of them are just for this year. I think that there is no shortage of bad content out there. Although I have to say, live streaming, I love to do comedy for my wife and make her laugh. She's my audience of one. And we watched Moonfall and we watched Madam Web, and I was live tweeting our reactions to that, and they were just so bad. So bad. I never forget, though, there was a moment where Halle Berry looks up at the screen and she goes, "Full force of the US government is committed to stopping the moon." And my wife goes, "Oh, Halle, girl, you got an Oscar. You didn't have to do this." I was like, that was great. That was great.
Well, in showing restraint, the movie that I refused to watch, I placed on myself was, do not get so bored that you're going to watch Joker 2. So I made sure that I stayed busy the entire time off.
Good job. I skipped that one. I was like, you know what? There's some that not even I need to. Niraj, how about you, buddy? What New Year's resolutions, fun things? I know you got injured. I'm glad you're doing better now, but you got injured towards the end of the break. For the majority of the break, though, you were
probably
healthy.
not included in the category of fun things.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
true.
But
That steroid injection was a lot of fun.
I mean, I agree with Brad said it. 2 weeks definitely makes a different sense. I mean, if you just took a 1 week, last year, a year before in 2023, I took only 1 week, and I'm like, yeah, it's just too short. And this week I took 2 weeks, and that was really fun. I mean, New York, same, stayed home, but most of days went skiing one day, New York City, tour of New York City and the ice skatings and the craziness that you go around New York City. One day was a movie day. Just full day, just staying on the couch, doing nothing, watching movies. And resolution-wise, nothing. Fabric, yeah, definitely. Learn more and more about Fabric. That's it.
Well, I'm going to wish Mrs. Powers a very happy birthday, because one of the fun things we did over the break is my son William's birthday is on December the 23rd. And every year we have a really fun party for him. My son Zachary's birthday is on January the 26th. William turned 20 this year. Zachary turned 21. So big deal birthdays for them. And then we're looking at doing something fun for New Year's next year when they're both going to be 21, and we get to go out and have an adult New Year's thing with them. So that'll be pretty cool. The commitment that I had a lot of fun. 2 weeks is incredible. You got to have, if you can have 2 consecutive weeks, that's really the way to do a vacation. My New Year's resolutions, I always have a hard time sticking with them. So I am committed that this year, my New Year's resolution is I will get fatter. I'm hoping to break that. I'll do my best to break it. And if I don't, well, that was the resolution and I stuck to it.
There's a first time for all resolutions to happen. Maybe this will be your year.
There we go. That's the one. I already have ab, but can I get ab with a keg? I don't know. All right. So enough of that. Fabric. Let's talk about our favorite things that came out in 2024. But more importantly, we're going to look at the roadmap and keep in mind that this roadmap is fully available. So if you go over to, I mean, if you Google or Bing the Microsoft Fabric roadmap, the public roadmap is out there right now. And you can see we've got admin and governance, OneLake, shared experience, data factory, data warehouse, engineering, data science, Power BI, real-time intelligence. There are things out there that were put for 2024, and some of them are going to start rolling out pretty soon, and we're going to see them in there. Anything in the past you can also see that's already been released is marked as released, so you know what features are there. But as you can see from the tabs I have open, I've got quite a few of these. I went through and I picked about 25 of them, and I whittled them down to 9 because I didn't want to take up the whole broadcast. But there are so many things, and I specifically picked from things from this quarter. For Q1 2025 that I'm very excited that we're going to see this year. But when we talk about it, we did a lot of great videos. I would say my number one thing for 2024 was database mirroring, because there's going to be a lot that we continue to see with the evolution of database mirroring. And so the first kickoff of database mirroring, where we had it for Snowflake, for Cosmos, for Azure Database. Before the end of the year, we had the public preview going for SQL Managed Instance. We've got open mirroring in public preview. Database mirroring for SQL Server went GA. And to me, this is the easy button for migration to be able to lift, shift, and then immediately have those integration type workloads to be able to get the small data over time and get those incremental changes that typically it's very difficult to be able to get. Being able to get that into a data warehouse, because people talk about real time all the time, and there are different segments of real time. And sometimes real time is we want, the second it lands, we need an update. And sometimes real time is we'd like every 5 minutes to do a refresh, or we'd like every 10 or 15 minutes to be able to do a refresh. And the fact that mirroring is going to be quicker than those 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, let's face it, if you need sub-second, you should be using real-time intelligence, and you should be using Cousteau, KQL database and Event House. But if you're looking for real-time updates, mirroring is a fantastic way to be able to get that data up, get it up there quickly, so you can have it integrated in your environment. And to me, Brad, we talked about this before when we were consultants at Pragmatic Works. One of the things that we used to do is we had BI blitzes, we had month-long ones, we had then they'd do 2 or 3 of them together, like whatever the combination was, where we would go in and we would go boot camps. Yeah, we'd say, give us a set of reports, right? And it's got to be for a specific business area, and we would condense the data, and we'd go, we're going to get your data process into here. We're going to show you how to be able to get the incremental data after we forklift this data into here, and then we're going to get a report done. And mirroring does everything for you but building the report. And you could use Copilot for that. Literally, the jobs that we used to do that took us months and months as consultants, if you use the tools that you have at hand right now in Microsoft Fabric, you could do this within a week. Things that used to take us multiple months to be able to do. And I am constantly amazed by these things. And I'm just very excited to see, with SQL Server mirroring coming up and some of the other things that are going to be worked into the mirroring framework. I'm very excited to see where that's going to go in this new year with 2025.
One of the coolest things about mirroring is something you didn't even mention. Like, the technology piece of it is super cool and everything, like you said. But we basically give mirroring away for free, because you don't have to pay for the compute that's associated with getting the data from those sources. And you also don't have to pay for the storage. Like, you're running F2, you get 2 terabytes of storage. Running F6, you get 6 terabytes. Yes, there's no F6, is there? F8, I know what I'm doing, I promise. This is my job. I know how multiples of 2 work. But it's cool, because like we're not only giving you the cool technology to do all this stuff, but then you actually get the storage piece and the compute part of that along for free. Now, of course, you do have to obviously pay for anything that you do on top of that data. But like, that's a big cost that customers don't have to worry about, at least to get up and running and get started for a fairly significant amount of data in a lot of cases too. But I mean, I'm right there with you. I think mirroring, I think, was one of the coolest things that we announced in 2024. The thing that I also think is really cool about mirroring is, you mentioned a bunch of different sources like SQL DB and Snowflake and all these different things. Like we've got mirroring with the Databricks Unity catalog to be able to bring over that information as well. So we're not only working with these other data platforms, but we also just recently put out open mirroring. And I know, Brad, you did a video with Mark from our team about this recently as well. But like open mirroring, if you look at that list of sources and you say, well, I've got this data sitting in DB2 or some other place that you guys don't have mirroring for, but I want to be able to take advantage of this. Open mirroring, we've kind of said, hey, we're going to peel back the covers here, and we're going to let you use the mirroring infrastructure to do whatever data source you want. And so being able to takes a little bit of know-how to get in there and figure out how to drop the data and everything. But once you do that, that takes care of all your incremental loads and everything from that point. And so open mirroring, to be able to have that in addition to all those other sources you mentioned, I think is just a really great way to extend the functionality to any data source, whether it's a relational database or not. Like you can, Mark has a thing where you literally take an Excel file and drop data in there from it. So, and I know Alex loves Excel, so he's all about that.
DataBard just threw out that he can't wait for mirroring with private endpoints. DataBard, I'm absolutely with you with that. I think when we get that, there's a lot of people that I worked with that were blocked in their capability to utilize mirroring because they have private endpoints set up in their enterprise configuration. And so when we get that private endpoint functionality, and it is coming, it's being worked on, super excited about that as well, because that's, I think, going to open this up to a lot of customers. It's going to unlock the floodgate, if you will, for people who already have Azure SQL databases to be able to get that functionality waiting. Brad Chat just added, though, he can't wait for Git support for folders. I agree. I mean, Git support for folders. I don't know how it made it out of the gate without Git support. I mean, you would think.
Yeah, some things you just can't. You can't try to find the reason behind it.
Once it's delivered, though, everyone will be happy. There will be no more release plan. Everything has been solved.
Fabric will be done.
Fabric will be absolutely done. Put a bow on it. There we go. Fabric is done. Congratulations, everybody. Wait, is this going to be like the scene in Elf? Best cup of coffee in the world. Way to go, yes. Everybody.
Way to go, everybody.
Oh, no, Daniel, everyone uses folders, and I completely get the ask. I just thinking in terms of the items of prioritization, oh my gosh, I care more about the endpoints of the mirroring and all these other things. It is a very nice to have. I agree. But I'm also anti-folders. I don't like folders. Blame SharePoint for folder farms. I hate things that are nested and nested and nested, and you can't find them. But that's my own past trauma. We don't need to unpack that here today as therapy.
No, that's okay. Well, Alex, I understand. It's a safe space. And speaking of, Stephen Wheeler made a fantastic point on this, because I know this is one we had internally, and there was much discussion on this. Because the name mirroring, it's not Microsoft if we don't use the same name for multiple different products to create maximum confusion in the marketplace. I was talking with Brad at one point in time, and I told him I really thought this should be called a reflection. Because it's essentially like a reflection, but it's not a mirror. And mirroring had a specific intent in SQL Server before it became always on availability groups. And so there's this mindset when people heard mirroring. And when we were in the private preview, I couldn't tell you how many DBAs I would work with where I would go, nope, this is SQL mirroring, this is Fabric mirroring, and let me explain all the different concepts in this. And there is confusion in the name. But Stephen, you're absolutely right. Mirroring is deprecated in SQL Server or mirroring technologies because always on availability group took its place. But the mirroring in Fabric is different. What it is it is essentially a copy of your database that is stored in Delta Parquet format. And then we not only handle the forklift of the data, but we handle the incremental loading as well. I've got a video out on this. And one of the things I did was I wanted to show what the latency would be, because that's one of the questions you always get. And so I created a logic app where I went out to an API to get the location of the International Space Station. I used a JSON stored proc to immediately write that to an Azure SQL database. And then I mirrored that data. I then made a shortcut of that mirrored data to a KQL event house. And I used that for my real-time streaming engine to be able to do direct query results from a Power BI report. And the key thing I was able to do there was I was able to make that Power BI report update every 5 seconds so I could see it track the position of the International Space Station around the globe. And so when people go, how real time is this mirroring? It's a great example because I'm sitting there constantly pushing data. Every 5 seconds I'm doing this, and you can see every 5 seconds I'm getting an update as this moves across the screen. So one of the things to keep in mind is it's a very low latency technology. That's always the goal. But there are some times where we need a SQL Analytics refresh, which was a great video that Mark Price-Mayer put together. It's one of those nice features that's supposed to actually become part of the product in Q1. And I know that's something people have been looking for as well. But if you've got that SQL Analytics endpoint open and it's refreshed, that data is constantly coming in, and it is absolutely amazing. It's a fantastic technology. But yeah, sure. So Stephen, definitely check that out. And if you have any questions, please hit us up about that. Okay, Alex, how about you?
Oh my gosh.
What is your favorite thing that we got for Fabric in 2024?
So there'll be a lot to unpack here. So one, it would have been Dataflow's Gen 2 with CI/CD support, but unfortunately we had to pull it back shortly after Ignite, and then at that point we had a code freeze. For anyone who's out there who doesn't know, you're about to get like 8 weeks worth of updates dumped onto your plate here very shortly here. So look forward to that. So as I look back, I'm going to give an answer that like may shock people. I think it was dark mode for desktop.
Ooh, what?
Dark
I know, right?
desktop.
And I'm saying this because it's been a multi-year, multi-upvote effort by our community, and it is a true delighter. There is no tangible difference between using light mode and dark mode in terms of your modeling. It doesn't make your models better or faster because you use dark mode.
That's not what I heard.
I know. Spread it on Reddit, right? But it shows that with time and with the community's backing, like these ideas do make it to the top. We eventually go out there and solve them and hopefully implement them. So I always encourage people like, well, go create an idea. I've only got one vote. We'll go tell everyone else to vote for it. Like if you say, hey, I need this thing, if you share the link with me, I'll give it a thumbs up always, just to kind of help you. I have ideas out there too that aren't getting implemented. So, I'm in the same boat. I want all these things done for query folding. It's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. But if I get enough people yelling about it, hopefully it'll occur. But the one thing that really sticks out for me in terms of like tangible value is people love desktop applications. And we enabled remote model editing for Direct Lake. So now in Power BI Desktop, you can edit remote models with Direct Lake.
Absolutely. That's
in the web now. But like the more we can do in the web, the more agnostic we are. Like you don't have to have a Windows machine. You can use a Mac. If you want to do it on a Raspberry Pi, as long as you have internet access, go for it. I think it's cool. Like we're closing some of these like parity things at the OS level. So it's awesome to think about.
That is really incredible. And this was, I made a note of this. This was a big year for dark mode because not only did we get it in Power BI Desktop, we got it for SSMS and the latest version of SSMS, the preview version that's out there. And I have not stopped using that since I got it. I absolutely loved it. Yeah. It is fantastic stuff. Okay, Niraj, over to you. Top Fabric feature in 2024. There's a couple big ones I have not gotten to at all, so I'm excited to see what you've got.
Fabric SQL. I mean, besides mirroring, definitely was the first. Fabric SQL, the second one. Definitely. I mean, it's still in preview, but definitely that was one of the biggest things that I think would be a game changer next year or this year probably. And the other things that I would also like was we had two successful FabCons. I mean, completely sold out FabCons in Vegas, Stockholm, and then the new FabCons coming up. I think March end or April 1st week.
Yep.
One of the
March.
End of March. So that definitely, I mean, if you have to reserve it right now. That's definitely going to be sold out for that. On Tales from the Field, we had 10 PG calls, but I think 10 PG monthly updates. and a lot of Fabric videos. So that was also fun to have going on it.
Absolutely. I am not a big fan of Vegas, but one thing I will be giving Vegas its due. Vegas has a really great food scene. And one of my favorite restaurants in the world is Din Tai Fung. And it used to be that I would only get that when we would go up to Redmond. But they have a Din Tai Fung in I think it's the Aria Hotel. And it is all the goodness that I've ever had at the Redmond one. So one of the things I do love is when I go to Vegas, I go and I eat at Din Tai Fung as many times as I possibly can. We found a couple really good dumpling places here, and there's a new one that's opening up near Josh over in West Orlando. Brad, this may be worth you coming down for because they do have really good looking soup dumplings. We will take pictures, report back, but yeah, I was going to say if this is the real deal, we'll let you know. But yeah, Din Tai Fung is absolutely amazing. And Brad, as you were mentioning, you've got a full day pre-con with Steve Howard on data warehouses. There's going to be a lot of great pre-cons that are already up. If people are looking to sign up for FabCon, please make sure and go check out the website. Niraj, if you wouldn't mind getting the link and throwing that in a banner for us, we'll make sure and throw that in the description of the video as well, because it is looking really, really great.
Yep, in there.
Mark Price Mayer. Brad is doing a pre-con. He talks about nothing else. I know it's on data warehousing. I can't wait to see what it's about. I'm sure it's going to be data warehousing is great. Now let's make data warehousing work even faster. I just imagine Brad. He looks nice and calm and mild mannered, but you put him in a car and he's going 150 miles per hour with his hair on fire. He's a true Ricky Bobby fan. If you're not first, you're last. Second place is just the first loser. And so he wants all his data warehouses going as fast as he possibly can.
Yes,
now,
the data warehouse should go as fast as it can, and it will go as fast as you can if you come to our pre-con.
There you go.
I will also just one quick note, because the sessions are a little bit different this year. The pre-cons this year are on Saturday and Sunday. Last year they were on Sunday and Monday. So make sure you plan accordingly either way, whether you come to the pre-con on Saturday, which you all should, or whether you're just coming for the conference, which you all should as well. But just make sure you plan that accordingly. It's a little different than most of the conferences.
Ask for as much budget as humanly possible. Just tell your boss, I need to go. I need to do multiple workshops. I need as much hands-on experience as possible.
Maximum
Vegas if you're going.
Might as well.
There we go. I mean, Vegas going to Vegas. So, but don't take that budget to the casino. Spend it on food, shows, and the FabCon. Put it in a good place. Make sure that we've got that going. Okay, let's talk about 2025 features, because when we look at the roadmap, there's a lot of great stuff coming within this quarter. There are so many different things that I'm excited about. Some of them we've already touched on, but I want to get your reactions to a few of these. So one of the big things that I'm looking forward to coming in Q1 for 2025, and this is amongst the multiple things we've got for data warehousing, is Open Row Set. This is functionality that we had in serverless pools in Azure Synapse, and we also had this functionality in dedicated pools. And not only that, underneath the covers, this is what we utilize to be able to give people the preview of files. You can still get a preview of files in Microsoft Fabric, but you've got to go in a notebook. You've got to read something into a data frame, and then you've got to print that data frame. And this was a feature that I know many people like. I'm hoping this is a first step that allows us to eventually have that feature in a data warehouse where I can browse into my storage and I can look at a preview of a file. Because I've heard from multiple customers that they use that really helped shortcut part of their development experience. Brad, data warehouse, man, give it to me. What's your reaction to this one?
I have been asking for this since the private preview. So I am very excited that Open Row Set is going to be coming. Anything that we can do to enable people to, one, make their transition from other SQL platforms, like you mentioned, serverless, for instance, anything we can do to make that transition a little bit easier from like a code parity perspective, I'm all about. And two, anything that we can do just to give people other ways to do things that are low friction, I'm all about that too. And being able to go and just write a query over top of like a CSV file or a Parquet file without having to go turn it into a Delta table first in order to read that data in the data warehouse and with the T-SQL engine essentially. I love it. So it makes migration easier. It knocks down some blockers for people to get to their data just a little bit easier, a little bit quicker, a little bit cheaper. So I'm super excited about this. I can't wait till we get that in there and people get to start using that. And we do get quite a few asks for it. So I know people are going to enjoy having that out there, just being able to use it. So I like it.
Absolutely. To me, this is a win-win-win across the board. And Alex, I love it that you put this in there because folks, you want to save some money if you are registering for FabCon. And our good friends over at the Guy in Cube channel, Mr. Adam Saxton and Mr. Patrick LeBlanc, they've got a code Cube200 that gets you some money off. So make sure and head over there. And when you see them at the conference, make sure and stop them and say thank you. They love nothing more than to be stopped whenever they are walking, wherever they are going. And so if you form a line, you can thank them one at a time. And I'm sure they're going to really, really appreciate that. Now, I'm just kidding. Probably don't do that. Don't mob them in between their sessions. But what I do want to get the next reaction on, and Alex, I know you've got a reaction to get. So maybe this isn't the best one to go with you, but easy management of orphaned OneLake shortcuts. To me, this is a really, really big deal. And the capability to be able to make sure that we've got the security in place to be able to orphan this. And we also have some functionality to be able to get the OneLake shortcuts in CI/CD. To me, this is big stuff that we've been missing from shortcuts, making sure that we can take care of orphan ones, but making sure that we also have that capability to be able to get them into Git, because anything that we do in the platform should have a code functionality level, because we have so many people that are like, let's do this in Git, let's do it in Git. And I get it, because once you start running your enterprise solution that way, if it's not in Git, you're not going to use it. And so I think this is really, really key to have this as code. What are your thoughts, my friend?
So it's interesting because we have this kind of a data flows too, where it's like take over functionality as people kind of leave, as passwords expire, whatever else it may be. To be able to do this through the UI is incredible. Or if we're able to do it through code, that's even better. I know right now, a lot of people have to open up support tickets, kind of go through somewhat of a frustrating process at times. Be like, oh my gosh, we're down, for the day, for the couple days until you can get the right person on the line. But this to me is like very funny for the release plan in the sense of like, I've read or I've cataloged the 5 or 10 things that I care about, but this is like number 11. But like, I'm so exhausted at that point. We still have like 200 more items out here. Fabric is huge. Like, I didn't even know this was on here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my top one now. I'm sure the next one you position will be my next top one, because like there are life-saving kind of quality of life features that will get rid of some of these paper cuts that have just persisted. So that was a cool share.
Thank you. And I know that one of the key things is you're our Data Factory guy. Yeah. And so we've got a lot of items coming in Data Factory. So I've got some Data Factory stuff I'm going to send for you for reaction very, very soon, because you're the person that I definitely want to get that from. But one of the things I'm super excited about from a security standpoint, Niraj, I'm going to get you to give me your feedback on this one. And then I want to hear from everybody. One security CLR LRS. Well, this is along those lines, Guillaume. And I think you're going to like this. Private link support at the workspace level. This is estimated for Q1 2025. To me, we don't get enough things that are at the workspace level. And when we look at the way that people manage things, we're going to have to get so much more granular at Microsoft within Fabric. And if we start breaking things down at the workspace level where people will manage these projects, where we need to have these permissions, this to me is huge. There's a firewall one that's also going to be committed with this. Those two kind of go hand in hand. But Niraj, private link support at the workspace level, not just at the tenant level. To me, I think that's going to be really, really key, and that's going to offer a lot of flexibility in the product. What's your thoughts?
Definitely. I mean, this was last year, most of my customers were asking this. The reason is they wanted to do a shared pool of Fabric. I mean, the capacity wise, they want to do a share, but they want to break it down on the workspace level. But also, they wanted to make sure that some of them should be using private link, some of them, and that's the reason this would be really useful for people where they want to use only workspace level. They don't have to worry about the tenant level. They don't have settings on the tenant. I mean, they don't have access to the tenant level settings also, and that's where the workspace level settings is definitely going to help them out for private link. This was one of the asks. I mean, I think this would be a huge game changer also when it comes to people working in one big tenant in multiple workspaces.
Absolutely. So Brad and Alex, what are your thoughts about this? Because I understand when you look at the product and you think about engineering this, it's difficult to build that granularity into workspaces. And the fact that we're starting to see this, to me, that's a big deal, because we start to get this, and that lays the groundwork for us to get other things at the workspace level. But I mean, this is a big one right off the bat that I know people have been wanting, customers have been wanting. And I mean, it's a really big deal for us to get this at a workspace.
There's a line I want you to highlight. It's near the end. It says the private link capability at the workspace level will start with few workloads and extend to others in phases. Oof. Yes.
Right there. There you go.
So it's not going to be everything all on day one. So that may impact you, especially if you're like, I'm using all these amazing Fabric experiences. Keep an eye on this. Read the limitations and consideration sections of the docs. Like, I just want to tamper people's expectations, because that was the first time I read that line. I was like, oh, I wonder which ones. I need to start asking around. I have to imagine some notebook stuff. Hopefully maybe some data integration workloads too. But yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of reactions come in on the comments. I'm seeing some hearts. I'm seeing some 100 in there. And Alex, that is a great call out, because you're absolutely right. When this is going to come out, it's got to make sure, and you were talking about how big Fabric is. Yeah. You've got teams across the board that have to make sure that they have their services integrated with this. And so it's going to work with a few workloads. It's going to extend to others in phases. I think that's a key thing to keep in mind, is when we get this, make sure we'll cover it. I know we'll end up making a video on this, but you want to look at the limitations, and what we're going to have to talk through is what have we got and what are we going to get? And we will see future workloads come with this. And Data Bard, love the comment. Jared, thank you so much. Private link at the tenant level was a big reason I haven't wanted to use it yet. Private link at the workspace level would be awesome. Completely agree. Because when people look at managing this, we're talking about managing projects. And what have we told people? Set up your dev at a workspace level, set up your QA at a workspace level, set up your prod at a workspace level. And as we look at that, especially with the data components and the way that we migrate them, having your dev security is going to be different than your QA security, which is going to be different than your prod security. And so this is really, really key for us to have that level of flexibility, but also that level of individualized security. Brad, your thoughts on this?
No, I kind of echo what you guys are already saying there, but anything that gives us a little bit more granular control over the environment, lets us build things the way that we need to for our individual organization, that little bit of extra flexibility, I'm all about that. So being able to have this at workspace level, not just at the tenant, I think is a great improvement. Love seeing the granularity for all this stuff kind of get a little bit lower. Again, just lets everybody build the environment the way that they need it. So I like it.
All right. And I'm trying to check, because I just want to make sure that I've got the right one for Alex, because there's so many different things for Data Factory that are coming.
Yes.
Alex, I may just hit several of these and just scroll up and down. If you want to go to these, we're going to put these in the description of the video. We're going to have the link for the all up. But all you have to do is go into the public roadmap, and we've got it. So one of the first things that really, and this is very, very high on my list, data source identity management for Azure Key Vault. I mean, we've been asking for this for quite some time, and this is absolutely massive for us to be able to get that Key Vault integration. We've already got it in Azure Data Factory. We've told our customers this is a secure way to do this and to hold these credentials and to be able to pass them in. Now, to be fair, right now, you could do this, But the way that you would do this is you go into a notebook, you use an API to be able to call your key vault, you extract your secret, you pass that as a parameter back to your data pipeline, and then you would utilize that secret there. So it's a little bit clunky. What people would like is that first-class citizen to be able to just grab that secret directly and pass it along as part of a pipeline. So, by no stretch of the imaginations do we want to say that people can't use Key Vault. You can use Key Vault with Fabric. It's just right now it's a bit of a workaround. But to me, having this integration to Data Factory, nothing short of massive. What are your thoughts?
This isn't anything new, which is amazing to think about. Power BI customers have been asking for Azure Key Vault for years and years and years. And this amazing thing called Fabric came around. And now we have the resources to go out and execute and do these things. And it's just cool to think about for me to be like, hey, we're here. We're almost there. I don't want to stop here, though, because I keep hearing everywhere I look, I want to have a Fabric Key Vault. I want to have a native Key Vault built into Fabric. And I go, that would be the next amazing idea we should go do. Absolutely, though. Having this built into the portal, like I've already been bug bashing and testing it. So I can't wait to get it in people's hands. This will be such a huge relief for a lot of people that are using Azure Key Vault today. Yeah, you can use code, you can do other things, but to have it built in natively, oh my gosh. And it's not just data pipelines, like data flows will be able to take advantage of this. Semantic models will be able to take advantage of this too, right? Like anything that has a connection that you're creating out in the cloud. So this is a big win. First step, though, I want to see a Fabric Key Vault natively built for us in the product. So please, ideas.fabric.microsoft.com. That's where I want us to go next.
I would go with that, but yeah, I'm just having Key Vault support to already, integrate with those existing environments. I'm super excited about it. DataBard, you said you're reading my brain on the dev QA prod considerations. Yeah, great minds think. Jared, we're here. I feel you, man. You're good. We got you covered. You got folks on the inside. Now, another great one, of course, looking at this for Q1 2025, I'm just going to stay on the same page. Dataflow Gen 2 CI/CD and public API support. Again, this is another big thing. People have been asking for public APIs and support, and you can see right below that API for service principal support. That's what the SPN stands for. It's service principal. I don't know about you guys. One of the gripes I have with Azure is I wish we would just have the capability, instead of having to figure out what a service principal is, just have it on the Azure Entra ID pane to say service principal. I want a service principal. I don't want to have to go create an application ID and put in a website that I'm never going to freaking use. I just want that service principal. I'm going to make an identity. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it as an app. We could do that in AD by creating accounts. I just wish we would call it that, because whenever you say to somebody, you got to create a service principal, then you have to pass them along the documentation for how do you create an application ID. And it's like, and they'll ask, why is it not called a service principal? Anyway, we all know what Microsoft is called a service principal. Please, Azure team, just give us a GUI interface that says create a service principal. Make it so much easier. But sorry, back to this. Alex, I digressed a little bit. Sorry, but this public API support and the CI/CD support is massive.
So one thing that I'm doing is, because I have access to these internally, is I'm building functions out in semantic link labs for everyone. So with all these public APIs, you'll be able to take any of your existing Dataflow Gen 1 or Gen 2s and convert them into the new Gen 2 CI/CD, the single one-line function. So you can imagine you create a list of all your data flows, you loop through that list, and you've now upgraded everything in your entire state to now take advantage of Git and CI/CD. So that will be released very soon. This is what I was working on over the holidays myself. And I'll just say the Python notebooks are amazing out in Fabric. So big kudos to the team.
Absolutely. And a big thanks to everybody working on the semantic link labs as well. And Alex, you know that thing I said in the beginning, where I said, every time I think that I love you as much as a human being possibly can, you do something great to up it even more.
Gosh, Semantic Link Lab is just one of those, it's an open platform now. Like Brad was talking about with open mirroring, like all of us have the opportunity to like contribute through like a little bit of these SDKs or kind of open formats that are being released. But man, it's a cool time to be in data and analytics and just data in general.
It really is.
We got to find
So
that.
I've got another one that I'm
Parameterization.
going to go to. And
Please.
I know,
there goes my
waiting
internet.
for you guys
There goes.
to get-
There we go. Ooh.
I'm waiting for him to get down to that one too, Alex.
Yes. And then we'll just end the stream on a high.
Okay, so which one are you?
It's the parameterization of connections. That's the one where like all of us.
Enabling customers.
Oh yeah, no, that's. I was going to say, and you can see all these amazing things that we're getting in Q1. There's so many good things, but
There it
yes,
was.
I think this was sitting up near my number one, enabling customers to parameterize their connections. And I wish we had somebody who could do the movie phone voice. In a world where connections provide a common framework for defining connectivity and authentication. Anyway, if you have been using pipelines before, you know what this is. This is the key to doing the true metadata-driven workloads that we want to do, being able to parameterize these connections within your data factory targets. This is, I mean, I can't even explain how big this is. There's so many things, and there's some data warehousing things I'm going to get to that Mr. Bradley Schatz's going to love. But it was crazy to me when I was thinking about some of the other things, and I stack ranked this above it because this is such a big deal. Brad, you're absolutely right. Hold on a second. I have to zoom out to be able to add the comment. But when this launches, pizza party.
Yeah. Stop it,
Alex.
You're not
Yes.
invited anymore.
Yeah.
Gosh. And why do you have to do that?
I was going to say, Alex, you and I will split the pineapple pizza, and I'll get some without pineapple for Brad.
We were having such a good time. Everybody was happy. We were all like, yeah, we're unified. We all love this. We're going to end on a high note. And then he had to ruin the live stream.
No.
Can we not invite Alex back next time?
No, Alex is definitely come. Brad, just focus on the pizza. There will be pizza at the party, and you don't have to look at the other pizza. Just focus on the pizza you like, man. And more importantly, on enabling customers to parameterize their connections.
Yes.
There we go. And there's a lot of great stuff that we additionally have planned. And you know what? To be fair, let me hop over, because this was one of the things that I was really shocked. Trying to find the right link for this. Hold on. Oh, there we go. There we go. This is the one for you, Brad. Temp tables. In data warehouse.
There's so many things on this list.
To me, and I was shocked when I was looking at this list. Oh, I know. Merge T-SQL right below there. The capability to alter, drop, rename columns. I mean, there's so many wonderful things. But when I was looking at this, I went through all the different pages, and I wrote down what I was excited about. And then I went, make this 10. And I slowly whittled the list down until I got to 10 items. This was number 3 on my list. And I was shocked that this was number 3 on my list. Yeah, because I would have thought it would have been number 1 on my list. But I'll be honest, parameterized connections and the workspace private endpoints. Those are 2 things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But I am excited for both of these 2 things to land, because I get more questions about T-SQL merge and about temp tables than I get asked about roadmap for anything else. And I'm just glad that for like the last 3 or 4 months, I've been able to finally say, go look at the public roadmap, and it's got it on there. So I will be super excited to not have to answer the question of when are temp tables and when are merge coming. Like, again, going back to our conversation earlier about making things easier and knocking down migration blockers. This is a big one for migration blockers, because people use T-SQL merge and temp tables all over the place in their SQL Server code or in their Synapse Gen 2 code. So these are going to be great to get these in there. Being able to just copy and paste your code, all about that, remove that friction. Love it. So.
Yeah, I knew as I was adding silence to the broadcast, I just, in the back of my mind, I was like, this is worth it. Trust me, this is worth it. I mean, this is such a big deal. Like I said, I was really shocked when I looked at my list. This wasn't number 1. I mean, but we've got so many great things. Like I said, I boiled this down to a top 10 list. on the video that I just put out, I covered the top 10 videos that we did for the year, but I also covered the top 10 things I wanted to see. There was only one item I threw in there that wasn't on the work, actually on the release plan right now. And you know where to go for those. You go to ideas.fabric.microsoft.com, and you make sure and you punch in those ideas. And then what you want to do, publicize them, put them on Reddit, put them on LinkedIn, put them on Twitter, put them on Blue Sky, put them on Thread, wherever you are, put them in there and ask people to vote for them, because the product group pays attention to this. And it's not a guaranteed thing that the most votes wins, but it does help your case quite a bit. So it's important that if there's something that you don't see on the roadmap that's very important to you that you do want to see, that you make sure that you have your voice heard in one of the in one of the community voice programs that we absolutely have. And we got a lot of great comments on this. DBA Bulldog said, what? And then he said, I'm dancing. You know what, Dan, video where it didn't happen. I want to see the dance, buddy. I want to see the temp table dance. I don't know what it looks like, but I can imagine it in my heart. And the Data Bard said, merge. Yes, absolutely. We are very excited for merge. And there's so many other things on this list that are wonderful ones as well. Brad, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think what you're seeing on the data warehouse list, and what I like about this list, I mean, of course I'm biased because it's the team I work with most closely and everything, but what I really like about the things that you see on here, slated for a couple of things for Q4 that got caught up behind that code freeze we were talking about, but between things like query insights, updates, the SQL audit logs, the show plan XML, like we're knocking down a lot of the blockers that people have come to us and said, look, we understand that you guys want this platform to just perform by default, but we still want a little bit of insight into what's going on. Like, I get it, coming from the developer, like BI developer kind of world. I want to know what's going on. Like, I want to look under the hood and see what's going on inside of there. And so we've heard that. We're trying to give you guys as much information as we can about what's going on inside the system. So being able to see those query plans, for instance, is going to be useful so that you know, how do I need to rewrite my query? What can I do to help tune this a little bit? So I think there's a lot of good stuff from an insights perspective that's going to be landing in there, like the query insights updates, for instance, that are rolling out, being able to see how much data was scanned from remote storage versus in memory and that sort of thing. Super useful. But then also you see a lot of these other improvements that are inside of here that are just either quality of life or performance improvements that we're landing. And there are things that you're just going to wake up one day and be able to go do this stuff if you want to. Like, not all of it's even required. For instance, like we talked about merge coming in there, or BCP. Like, if you've got this code, you're now just going to be able to walk in the door and start using the platform the same way you do every other SQL product inside of Microsoft. But we're also going to give you some other cool stuff. Like, there is a mention inside of here. Just want to make sure it's actually in here. Where did it go? Clustering. Yeah, so data clustering, we've got that listed on there as Q1. Like, if you want to be able to do some performance improvements and you say, hey, you know what, let's check out this clustering thing. So we're laying some stuff in there that's going to give you a little bit more control over the platform as well. So I like that everything that's landing in Q1, like, there's nothing that I look on that list and I say, you know what, yeah, it's a nice to have, but it's probably something nobody's really going to care about. Like, I know that there is a customer that I have talked to that every single item on that list has multiple customers that are going to have a better experience in Fabric because of that. So I'm super excited about where Data Warehouse is going to land at the end of Q1, and excited to see where we go with it next semester from there. So
yeah, Alex, take it away, buddy.
Alter table drop / rename column. Brad. So as a data flow user, I don't even know what's going on with the backend, but I'm using a data warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to update a simple column right now in data flows. I have to go through, like, delete the table, rebuild it, kind of a long exercise. But because you're building this in the DW experience, I, as a downstream consumer in data flows, will benefit from this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the connected platform.
Yep, it's going to help those data flows. It's going to help your CI/CD story. Like, everybody's going to be happy.
Dude,
Data
that's
warehouse, bringing us all together, man.
And I remember
Absolutely,
the
just like pizza.
tables here, Brad. If we scroll up to like the temp tables, I just remember like the first time when Fabric launched, like we were jumping on calls with customers and being like, "Hey, give us some feedback." This is like part of their first bits of feedback, and now they'll have it. And like, I always like the feedback, and I always like customers making noise because once they get it, they'll forget that they have always had it. They're like, "Oh, it's been there for years," and we'll be like, "It's only been there for 30 days." Like, what are you talking about? They move on. The goalposts move. That's why I like the ideas forum. It's just so great. Like, keep us honest. Like, where can we keep going? But I love seeing this list, man. This is cool for the DW side.
Yeah, for sure.
And I am massively excited about data clustering. The capability so within SQL Server, one of the ways that you could get something similar to what data clustering does is, and this is an old SQL 2000 trick, but it still works today, is if you had a big table, you could set up multiple views, or you could set up views on tables, and you could have multiple different tables where you've got like a sharding experience, but within the view, you could have a constraint specific. On the base table, you have a constraint specifically set up, and so you'd cluster the data in multiple different tables. You'd have a view that unifies the whole thing, but then you would be able to get data elimination essentially. And this, before we had partitions in SQL Server, this is what you used to do in SQL 2000. Multiple different tables of customers. Through geographic regions, you would put a constraint on the geographic region. You would put a view over all of it and call it your customers table. But if you had a where predicate value for that constraint, it would do partition elimination, and it would very intelligently, the query processor would go, here's the data you're looking for. And that's essentially what data clustering is going to give us that capability to do, to segment our data, but to be able to have that partition elimination if that is within our where predicate value. That's key. That's so massive in being able to speed up. When you think about the amount of data people put in a data warehouse, you don't put a little bit of data in a data warehouse. You put a lot of bit of data in a data warehouse.
Yep.
That's, by the way, that is an official technical term. A lot of bit.
A lot of bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's in the doc somewhere.
It is.
Yeah.
Eight bits makes a lot of byte. That was a nerd joke. They don't get much better than that.
Okay. Well, and with that, we're coming up on time.
and Brad cannot wait to get out of here. No, I can't wait. I'm very, very excited. If you think about it, all these great things we're getting, they're scheduled for Q1. What are we going to get for Q2, for Q3, for Q4? I mean, forget about it. This is going to be a great year for Fabric.
Let's make sure we add a little asterisk here. That's a target date.
Yeah, true.
Target's move.
That's a fair target date. And you're absolutely right. Because here's one thing I would like to say, and I say this to people all the time when they wonder how product groups work. You got to keep in mind, product groups are made up of people who get sick, who have family, who also get sick, who take vacations, who go and do things. And there's only so much finite time that work can be done during the year. And so sometimes things do slip. If we get everything on schedule, that's going to be just absolutely incredible. Sometimes things do get pushed, but if we get some of these big things within this first quarter, what an amazing year it's going to be. It's just a way to be able to kick us off. And Brad threw in the nice quote, the release plans describe functionality that may or not be released yet. The delivery
you could share the release plan report that I published. That's how I keep up to date with all this stuff. So ak.ms/fabric release plan -public. I hope to have a template app here published soon. So especially if these are a lot of pages, so I just built a Power BI report to kind of go through it. Check it out. Yes. And
there we go.
It breaks everything up into the different quarters. It has a feature search at the very top. I do have some workload stuff I may incorporate in the future, but for right now, just type in a keyword and off you go. That's how I best used it with customers.
I love it.
My gosh.
Okay.
A lot of stuff coming.
So many wonderful things. All right. So we have talked about a big list. Anything that we did not mention while we've got just a little bit of time left that you very quickly want to say, this is what I'm looking forward to, or did we hit everything you're looking for? I know you guys each had lists that you were considering as well. Anything that we missed in this?
Take ownership of Fabric items. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with that orphaned kind of OneLake shortcuts. I'm taking a list out here. Take a look.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, take control of the Fabric items. So if someone leaves the organization, you can take control of their items. The next step I want to see, which hopefully we eventually get to, is that a managed identity comes by default and takes those items, or that we get a service principal we can put in place, and that service principal will get those items by default. I'd love to see, but this is a big first step, being able to reassign that. And I'm looking forward. All right. Well, hey, I want to thank you so much. Thank you, Bradley Schatt. Thank you, Alex Powers, coming and spending some time with us and answering questions. Thank you to all the viewers who got involved, who made comments. We really appreciate it. This is your time. Oh, yeah, there we go. 2024 SQL DB for Fabric. That was a big one, Steve. I absolutely love that. You know, Fab SQL, the most fab of all the sequels. That's what I love. And Niraj and I are actually doing a presentation on that for Data Toboggan. So we're looking forward to waking up very early in the morning on my birthday and doing that presentation and then going directly back to sleep.
January 25th at 3 a.m.
Absolutely. Yeah. We will see you there if you do not live in the United States. For Mr. Bradley Schatt, Mr. Alex Powers, and Mr. Niraj Jafari, my name's Bradley Ball. Thank you so much for joining us on Tales from the Field. Take care of one another. Be good out there, folks. Bye.
Downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always